Madam, welcome to Kigali.
Thank you so much, Magnus.
Yeah, so you made very interesting statements shortly on the panel, and you were discussing about transformation on the continent. You come from a very big economy, South Africa, and you have experiences dealing with both the outside world, the outside Africa, but also inter-Africa trade. And you have experiences you shared, but also some observation you made, and then you also talked about what should be done to improve African economies. First, I wanted to find out how was your experience, you traveling from South Africa to Kigali?
It was absolutely amazing. Well, it's the second time in 3 years that I am back in Kigali, and it's absolutely exciting. The first thing is, well, I won't talk about the flight that leaves at a witching hour of 3 a.m. But I was very lucky that I had a very comfortable seat and very well treated on the way. On arrival, the seamless processing just blew my mind, Magnus. We were carted from the flight by bus to the port of entry, and within seconds we had people that were attending to us. I didn't have a visa. I was quite anxious about it because the last time I was here, even though I didn't need a visa, I wasn't aware. I had applied for a visa while I was at home. Yes. So I was quite anxious about the visa application process, and had feeling uncomfortable? And yes, and I had prepared myself mentally for maybe having to go back. I wondered, would I need pictures? Would I need, this and that other kind of thing? But the young people were very welcoming, and within a few minutes I had paid my $30, and I was being processed to come in. In fact, the luggage was late. So for somebody who landed without a visa, by the time the luggage got to the carousel, I was waiting for the luggage. Wow. I am impressed. I'm blown away.
Wow.
I love this country.
Very interesting. So does that kind of attitude you had before you came is driven from what? Is your experiences across the continent?
Experiences across the continent, across other countries. This is the best I've seen in any country that I've traveled to. So I'm not putting down the other countries in the continent. Let me talk about my own country, where if you arrive, I accept that the airport handles quite a number of arrivals. However, there is no excuse for the lines to be so long, and JFK is the same. You'll find very long lines. So this, in my view, is best world practice. I think the rest of the world should be learning from Rwanda. So my experiences have been that one gets off and you go and queue for a good half an hour just to be processed. And this is after having applied for a visa while I'm still in my country of origin, and making sure that my visa is valid, my passport is valid, and yet the processing just at the port of entry can take so long. The other experience that I had here is that going through the customs area, absolutely no hassles. I'm sure the customs officials are watching what is happening. I'm sure they're vigilant. But their attitude is not one of intimidating. It's welcoming. It's welcoming, which is why I'll be back here again and again.
So here we have the Rwanda Development Board, and in South Africa you have something close to that, and you are the chairperson of the same institution. And it has played a big role in that kind of arrangement. And we know as Rwandans that this is just a mindset. From where you come from, have you had a discussion about these issues and how to deal with them and the consequences they have on African economies?
The issues are raised all the time, especially by the entrepreneurs who get very frustrated and who have to bear the costs of the inefficiencies. We are a part government institution, so we should be playing a bigger role in terms of influencing policy. However, I think the mindset in South Africa tends to be that we try and stick to our mandate as narrowly as possible. So our mandate is industrial development, and we try not to meddle too much in so far as the other policies are concerned. However, it's at our own cost because we actually partnered, Magnus, you may like to know, with the development board here.
Yes.
On an investment in forestry in Rwanda. However, the point that I wanted to make is that we should be amplifying the voices of our clients and our partners who keep saying we need to make our processes more efficient, we need to be more welcoming, that the port of entry is actually the first impression that an investor or a visitor or anybody else has of the country. We need to make sure that that's pleasant so that we can get the repeat investments, we can get the repeat visits.
How was your feeling about the points you made? You talked about trade barriers across the continent. You talked about how cheaper or less costly it is to transport a cargo from Japan to Durban, but more expensive to transport the same cargo from Durban to Lusaka, for example. These barriers you're talking about, you have lived a life watching this for decades.
Yes.
What is it that we can't deal with this when we know it?
Well, maybe the mindset of us not so young people, which is we will leave the policymakers to deal with the policy, we will deal with what we are supposed to deal with. And this is where I like the attitude of the young people who believe that if there's a problem on the table, let's confront it. The young minds everywhere I've witnessed, I think in the world, but most certainly in this continent, the mindset is one of solving problems and solving them as quickly as possible. And that is how you unleash the energy that the economy needs. We unfortunately perhaps have been good in sticking to our knitting, sticking to our narrow paths, but this is what has caused the friction that is now showing in our economic growth.
But you think this kind of arrangement, these kind of events, these kind of conversations will play a particular role?
Especially if all the people that are invited do attend. I would like to see more. I was very, very pleased with the spread of delegates that AfriExim has invited to this conference, because it's the right people, it's where the conversations need to be held. Ideally, we'd like to see as many of them as possible attending. And I am actually excited because AfriExim is almost an anchor that can crowd everybody else in, not only into the conversations, but also into solutioning around the problems that were.
How is the feeling when you have a financier, somebody with the resources, engaging players and policymakers and business people on a table? How is that? How is the feeling when you have that kind of participant or player engaging you?
I hope it's empowering in that the person who has one resource that is needed on the table in order to get the projects going, in order to get the economy going, well, everybody is bringing something to the table. The entrepreneurs bring the ideas and their expertise, and the funder can come and unlock through the funding solutions. I hope that such conversations would be empowering, because each one of us is putting a solution that is resourced. So if I speak from a funding perspective and say, Magnus, but this can be improved in such and such a manner, you will listen to me. If you speak from your experience as an entrepreneur, as a business person who has seen what's happening in the coalface, and you say, here is how we should be improving things, I'll have to listen, because I don't want my funding to be put at risk of not yielding the return that's required.
And finally, I wanted to find out, and this is about Rwanda and South Africa, business-wise. Apart from the experiences you go through and you come across, how do South Africans perceive Rwanda in terms of business? Do they see as an opportunity? Do they see as a partner? Or there's less knowledge about Rwanda and a lot to exploit in this country?
Well, I think we're still a bit on the naive side, but there is a lot of recognition of the fact that Rwanda ranks so highly insofar as ease of doing business is concerned. You've overtaken us on the global competitiveness stakes as measured by the World Economic Forum. And I was very excited because I was here a couple of years ago for a women's conference and met some young entrepreneurs who are doing very, very interesting things. And one of them, who is in specialized training space, has actually now anchored her business in Johannesburg as well. It's fantastic. Every time she's there, I see her. Every time I'm here, I hope to see her. Actually, I didn't tell her. But I expect that there will be increasing visibility of Rwandan entrepreneurs because you are young, you're energetic, you know how to get things done. You have a very informed population. South Africa has a market in many, many ways. So I expect to see more and more. I think our people need more information. So I'm very excited about these digital platforms, even though I still live in the 19th century, but don't tell anybody that. But these digital platforms where we can get information on demand, I wish we could also push information, because there are instances where if a person doesn't know that Rwanda is doing such exciting things, that person won't go and search for that information. So I wish we could create more platforms where the information is pushed through. Just in conclusion, actually, very exciting. My sister-in-law was wishing me well on my trip. And she informed me that she heard on radio some business person who was in Rwanda a couple of weeks ago, who commented about the cleanliness, the speed of the digital platforms, the efficiencies of the transport and all of that. And my sister-in-law said, I envy you. You are going to be seeing all those exciting things. It must be a wonderful place to do business. So there is information that's beginning to filter through, but the more information comes through, I think the better it will be for us to do business with each other.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Magnus.
Hope to see you soon
Lovely
again.
Meeting you.